Hello friends, so today I want to talk about the gap and the gain. I got that from this lovely book, 10 Times is Easier Than 2 Times by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. And it's about reflecting back on your life and seeing it from a completely different lens. And most of us look at it from the gap, which is measuring ourselves from what the ideal version we think should have been. So for example, I lost my wallet this past week, and the ideal should have been not losing my wallet, instead of just being with, okay, the wallet's gone, now what? Or the ideal would have been, oh man, I'm not working as a medical doctor right now, I shouldn't have even gone to med school. What would have the ideal childhood been like, schooling been like, everything else? Or when I was in the hospital after my son was born, and he was intubated and they were in the room and doing an echocardiogram to look at his heart to see if there's a major issue, I was like, I shouldn't even be here. I want to go back in time. I don't want this. As opposed to what came, which is getting really present, saying whatever comes is whatever comes. And every time we go back in the past to measure against ideal, it feels really crummy. It's constricting. I have a friend who I gave lots of breath work and other guidance to, and I hold on to resentment still that I'm working through, because I'm like, oh, they didn't listen, they didn't value. And that's part of the gap, part of the wanting it to be different than this ideal that we create in our fantasy and our imagination. And then we hold ourselves up. I hold myself up, trying to live to that fantasy and never achieving it, because in the totality of who I am, I make those choices. And the shift is going back in life and actually taking a look at the gains, because if you look at the gains, what actually happened and what you got out of it, what was learned, what was gained, you could see that your whole life has been led to kind of these 10 times moments, these exponential gains. And then it can shift the perspective of how things need to move forward. It's not that same pressure of I'm always falling short of an ideal. And the easy ones that we all have are, the gains from when we went from not walking to walking. Like, that's a 10 times gain, and more, because you have expansion to moving. When you went from not talking to talking, just a huge gain in communicating and being able to be heard and understood and share and ask and request. And the gain from not reading to reading, when all of a sudden all this knowledge opened up. The gain from not knowing how to use a computer to use the computer, not having the internet to the internet, all these gains. And then later on for me, there's been such a gain not being a dad to being a dad. And especially for me, with all the ceremonial deaths that happen around there, letting go of the old stories, letting go of the old clutter, letting go of those things that are it has to be this way. And it's funny that my outcomes kept being the same, but when I let go of the old stories, the outcomes could change completely. The gain from not being married to married, now having someone who we are on the same team. It's not just a taken for granted, but it's a beautiful default state that we have, where even in the midst of the biggest challenge, we can remind ourselves we're on the same team. And we've made this commitment, this is our default, is to be together and hold each other and love each other for where we're at. And the gain even from before breath work to breath work now. Now there's this modality which I can serve myself at any time. I can serve others at any time. And I know that we create value out of literally nothing just by sitting together and breathing anywhere, anytime. There's an experiential process where they go from where they were to where they are now. And what I love is not about our time together, but the things that change after that. The gain from being in Fit for Service, this program that I've been with Aubrey Marcus and crew, before that, not really stepping fully into my masculine, being scared, not having a place where I can really be seen and play, and now having so much abundance of support and good people who are clear on the work that they're doing as well. So hopefully this is starting to resonate, because it started to resonate for me. And as I look at these gains, it helps me to look forward to say, how is it that I want to create this next audacious goal, that big one that I mentioned, which is creating 100,000 worth and value within 6 months. And it's not about making or exchanging $100,000, but creating that value. And I realize now, if I can keep tapping back into the creative power and potential, then it's so much fun, because we're creating literally out of nothing. And it's scary as well, because it's like, how do I justify it? How do I evaluate it? All those things. How do I have the team where it works for that? And letting it go as well. It's going to happen. How can I keep looking at the gains and not the gaps of how I've fallen short? Oh, today I didn't do the work I feel like I was supposed to do. Today I, sat back and watched TV. All of those things are part of the gains. Like, every single step till here wasn't that smooth place that we like to think. All right, that's it for today. Lots of love. Ciao for now.